Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here. Look, I want to say that you are very important to me, if for no other reason that I am important to myself. And I'm not an island. And all that I can be has to do with all that you are. And that makes me, for some strange reason, feel committed to you. But I think it would be a little bit more specific if I said, first of all, consider me as a social scientist. Maybe some of you got some idea of what a social scientist is. Consider me as that. And those of you who do not know what a social scientist is, don't worry about it. On the other hand, I have wisdom. Wisdom that many of you cannot claim. And if for no other reason, it's because of time. I've been around longer than many of you. And things have been serious to me for quite some time. And for me to want to see this young man sitting here free, I have to want to see all of us as human beings free, because there is no freedom amongst human beings as long as some are not. So, what I want to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, is this. When I heard about God, I was introduced just like most of you. But I've been around long enough to see how evil people are, to see how people lie, to see how people manipulate, to see how people who in power do whatever they want to do, and the minority just have to suffer dreaming. But I, for some strange reason, have come along towards something else. What I have accepted is this. If God, the invisible power that created this earth and responsible for all that exists on this earth, spoke to any man, I'll only believe it when that same God speaks to me. Not through what you say. Yes, what you say is important, but it is not as important as what God says. And if God says something to you, it still is less important than God saying it to me. So I'm listening to God to say things to me. And as God say things to me, and I see you who are responding to God as well, but your God is not aligned with what you're saying, then it's not my duty to try to embarrass you, to try to bring you down. But if you are serious, it's to lift you up. This is what it is all about. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you this. We've all been lied to wherever we are, and we don't really know what the truth is. But I can say one thing about a truth that satisfies me, a truth that satisfies you is a truth that's all right with me. And it should be a truth that's all right with you. And so, based upon my understanding about life, it is to do just that, to make sure, my friends, that we're walking right. That's my path. I'm here. And, for me to try to say I'm walking a straight line and all this stuff going on around me, and I don't care, what kind of straight line am I walking? One that's absent compassion and love for sure. So, let me tell you something about this life, ladies and gentlemen. And I want you to listen to me wherever you are. Listen to me well. This earth that we inhabit didn't come from man. Man benefits from it, but it didn't come from man. It came from a power that I call spiritual because I can't see it. Yet I see the evidence of it. So I'm satisfied that it exists. And since I or none of you had anything to do with its existence as far as creation, then I will give that respect to something I can't see. And I'll call it God. And as beautiful as it is, and as wonderful as it is, and the purpose that it serves, I call it a loving God. Then to say that, and to think about me, I exist, and all human beings on the earth exist. And I look at the order in which God has created this earth. When I look at that part of the heavenly bodies that I can see and see how the order is. When I even see the order within the rivers and storms even. When I see that, I know that God must be of order. And when I see the structure of human beings, not alone me, I'm leaving out the other things right now. I'm just talking about the human beings. I know that order exists because it did. If it did not, we would not. And yet, this God put us here on this earth, ladies and gentlemen, black, white, Americans, and everybody else. That power that I'm telling you about that created this earth is responsible for our being on this earth. And that power has something in mind. That was to make us godly humans, but not force us, but give us the opportunity to learn what it is, to give us the opportunity to choose that, and then cause a manifestation of that. This God is giving us the opportunity to serve in this purpose, for that is the purpose of our being on this earth, to turn into godly children. Don't just talk about Jesus or stuff like that, but talk about our purpose here. But you can't talk about that if you don't know that. And if you don't know that, what you're going to do, somebody got to tell you the truth. So let me tell you some more of this truth, ladies and gentlemen. That God that put you here put all of the resources necessary to do anything on this earth that any human being might want to do, is doing, or has done. Those resources were put here just for the purposes for which they have been used for. And everything has been used to create a satisfaction in life for every human being on the face of the earth. And that power that put us here made sure that we would have no problem with it because the resources are free and each of us benefit from it, would find ourselves a career in participating in the process of making sure that it never runs out, that our needs, our wants, and our desires are always there to be met. Why? Because we're engaging in that process. What we love, that's what we're doing. And when we love it, there is never a day that we can call it a job because it's exactly what we love. And why is it that? It is that because it is connected with the order of the almighty invisible power that we can't see, but exists by it, and this joy that we have in participating in and causing a manifestation of this reservoir of goods and services that's overflow is from that same power. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we suffer for nothing that's made by the hands of man. And anything that we need, want, desire, if it doesn't exist, we create it. And it allows us to live in peace and prosperity and freedom and joy and happiness, to be satisfied and to live a life rather than dream of a life. This is what that power that is speaking spiritually to me and is waiting, if not already doing it, to speak directly to you so you can know the truth. Not listening to this person or yonder person or this idea or that idea. No, none of that. We are blessed. And so I want you to think about that. But see, in God's efforts to allow us to participate in the process of creating a godly people, there's also a challenge in this process. It's called God and Savages. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. What I just got through sharing with you is God. Now, let me tell you about the savages. And I won't be talking about savages all over the earth, though they are, and they're similar, if not the same. But I'm just going to talk about the ones that you should be familiar with because it's somewhere in your area or should be in your history, if not denied. Let's think about killing of indigenous people. I want you to think about how the natives, the people who were always on this land back in the day when we started talking about America being founded, they were murdered. But think about the Middle Passage for which they died in. Think about slavery. Now, this is savagery, ladies and gentlemen. Killing indigenous people, taking their land. That's savagery. Slavery. And you probably don't know what slavery is, but it's when you lose everything and you're doing whatever somebody says to survive, to stay alive. because you know nothing else but that. But to call that's savagery. Think about Jim Crow here in America. You know what it's about. Think about the lynching. You've heard about the lynching that black people have gone through. Think about it. It was a result of savagery. Think about the Trail of Tears if you want to go back to the natives, the indigenous people. Think about Wounded Knee. Savagery, ladies and gentlemen. The Asian internment camps. Savagery. Gun violence, the gun violence that we have in this country, and the gun violence that's happening all over the world, the gun violence that's killing the people in Gaza, that's killing the people in Iran. Savagery. Think about January 6th. Just think about it for a moment. What was it? It was nothing but savagery. I mean, sure, the Constitution ain't perfect, but what that ended up being that day was straight up savagery. Think about it. Ahmaud Arbery. White men that's got together. Let's do what we gonna do. And what they did was they killed her. Think about the Tuskegee syphilis study. Think about that. What was that about? You don't know. If you research, you'll find that it was absolutely about savagery. Think about the Cherokee March. Think about Tulsa, the race massacre. Ooh, good God Almighty. Savagery. Greenland. Oh, let's not even know. Let's come back from Greenland. Let's come back to Greenwood, the Greenwood district. You've heard of it. Oh, man. If you haven't, look it up. Savagery. Think about the Little Rock Nine. Savagery. The Mississippi Constitution of 1890. Savagery. You want to go back and think about Jim Crow some more? Still here today. Red line. Doing everything to keep the savagery alive. Think about Iraq or Iraq, whatever you want to call it. What was that? Savagery. Think about Iran today. What is that? Savagery. Now let's look back at that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at a common denominator in all of this savagery. In all of the savagery that I just mentioned, it was by one group of people.